A very good morning. Welcome back to Appreciating Theatre. Today we are going to see a new type of theatre which is called the poor theatre. So let us go straight into the poor theatre and see what it is. The poor theatre. Grotowski is a Polish theatre practitioner who developed the notion of poor theatre and para-theatre at his laboratory theatre in Opole in Poland during the 1960s and 70s. So this new idea of theatre called poor theatre was developed by a Polish playwright. His name is Grotowski. He experimented with his actors on creating a physical, spiritual and ritualistic theatre dependent on the relationship with the space and audience, not the artifices of theatre like set and costume. So here in this theatre, he was trying to focus mostly on the actor. So he wanted to get rid of all other unnecessary settings like costume, the great show of the theatre, etc. So he wanted to keep to the basic of the theatre or performance. This is where he gets the concept of poor theatre, since his theatre centers on the skill of the actors to create everything. So here, unlike the traditional theatre, he is depending purely on the performance of the actor. So the actor doesn't have any other help. He doesn't have any other accessories. He is left alone without even makeup. Grotowski experimented with using non-theatre spaces for performance and often had the audience situated on many sides or actually situated amongst the action depicted by the actors. So you have a theatre without theatre. That means the performance is carried out or done outside the traditional theatric space. So here you don't need a theatre at all. It could be performed anywhere, maybe inside the building, maybe outdoors, or even in a small room you can do this performance. Poor meant the stripping away of all that was unnecessary and leaving a stripped and vulnerable actor. So the meaning of the word poor means it's not the audience who are poor, but the very structure of the theatre. That means here we don't have that extravagant show of the traditional theatre, where you have a lot of settings, makeup, props and all that. Nothing. He is stripping away all that, removing all the unnecessary extra fittings that is related to theatre performance. Applying this principle in his laboratory in Poland, Grotowski dropped all costume and staging and preferred to work with all black sets and actors in plain black rehearsal costumes, at least in the rehearsal process. So he went to the extreme of using black dress, the costume. That means he did not want to get any distraction. That means the action is purely done by the actor and on his skill everything depends. Not on the makeup, not on the costume, not on the stage, light, sound, nothing. It is bare. So the actor is stripped of everything. He is removed of everything. He is standing there without anything. Maybe the only dress maybe he'll have. That's the meaning of he is very vulnerable. He can be easily hurt in that sense. Grotowski is one of the most influential directors of the late 20th century on the training of actors. So he had developed a system of training, very rigorous training for actors. He began his work in Opole in 1959 but moved to Warsaw in 1965 to continue his work on poor theatre with his Polish laboratory theatre. So he had a laboratory theatre where he experimented with his new ideas and new methods. His style of theatre advocated that theatre return to its communal and ritualistic roots. So, we have already seen what is ritualistic theatre. So, Grotowski also wanted to go back to the root of the theatre, the ritualistic root or the communal root of the theatre. That is religious root. Poor theatre sought to strip the act of performances down to its essential elements: the actor, text, and the relationship to the audience. So these are the basic elements of the act of performance, that is acting. That is, you need an actor, a text, that means the dialogue, and the relationship to the audience. These three things are the basic elements, and he wanted to stick to that and nothing else. The style of theatre: poor theatre avoids all stage apparatus and reduced all spectacle down to only that which could be created by the actors. So he doesn't want any other things added to the performance other than the actor's skill. As a director, he insisted that actors wear no makeup and indicate changes in character or within a character primarily through physical metamorphosis. So whatever change you wanted to show on the character or within the character, it has to be done only through the action and nothing else. So metamorphosis means the change, Ruvandrakarana. So that can be done only through the action of the character, not through any makeup or any extra fittings. Although well known in the Eastern Bloc, the work of Grotowski did not become well known in the West until his company toured Western Europe in the late 1960s. So Grotowski's work or his method remained obscure, unknown to the rest of the Europe. Until 1960s, he toured the West Europe. His work gained more acceptance with the publication of his work in 1968. That is a set of his essays under the collective title Towards a Poor Theatre. So he published a collection of his essays which was titled Towards a Poor Theatre. Only after that he became well known to the rest of the world. Actor training was the focus of Grotowski's work, and the principles of his work were about subtractive training, stripping the actor back via inductive techniques to create a holy actor. So his main technique was definitely centered around the character. So his principle is subtractive training. Subtract means to reduce actually. Here the actor is trained in such a way that he has to depend only on his performance, not anything else. So that is a stripping away of all the unnecessary things to create a holy actor. Here holy actor means an actor who is able to sacrifice his body. He is able to forget his very personality. Only such an actor can become a holy actor. That means an actor who is able to forget his personality and dedicate his whole self for the sake of the character. He insisted that theatre had to return to its ritual roots through embracing a ritual, the holy actor, and the relationship to the audience. These are the three things he emphasized, that is, returning to the ritualistic roots, then the holy actor, the actor who is 100% dedicated for the cause, and then relationship with the audience. He insisted that actors remove their life mask and embrace the moments created in the performance space. So the training was meant to create a complete actor. In his own words, it is a holy actor. That means he has to remove the mask he has acquired through his life. So we all put on a lot of masks in our life, that is pretensions, that we act as somebody else. So this kind of mask should be removed. That means this actor has to be his real self. not a self that is pretending. Acting in the style of poor theatre places emphasis on the physical skill of the performer and uses props for transformation into other objects, sometimes of great significance. So, if at all some kind of props or extra things are needed, it is only to show the transformation into another objects, not as human beings, maybe as a bird or animal. In that sense, the actor will have to wear some props, otherwise there is no question of any props. His style often involved the following things. First of all, physical movement done to the extreme or point of exhaustion. So, almost like in a mine, you find the performers will have to do a lot of work, physical activity, to the point of getting tired, using up all the energy. That is the meaning of exhaustion. Second point is using the space to inform and help determine the way a performance will take shape. So, he has to make use of the space in such a way the audience will be informed about the performance and how it is going to take shape. Intense exploration of the relationship between participant and spectator to the point of eliminating the division. So, he is trying to bring up a new relation between the actor and audience. Sometimes he may even blur the division or eliminate the division between the actor and the audience, putting the audience all around and sometimes making the actors fluctuate between sometimes being performer and sometimes being spectator. So, the audience can be seated anywhere. It could be around or on both sides. So, there is no fixed place for the audience. Sometimes the actor himself can become the audience, or the audience can become the actor. All these things are possible. Poor theatre conventions. Today, Grotowski is recognized as one of the great directors of the modern theatre and a significant innovator of the experimental theatre movement. So, he is well known today as a great playwright and also as a director of modern theatre. Of course, he was part of the experimental theatre or the avant-garde movement. His techniques are easily grasped by school students. Poor theatre can be performed in any bare space. So, school drama departments with a few resources often find this style of theatre attractive. So, his style of theatre is very useful in schools and all that, because where you don't need a lot of space, you don't need a lot of other setups and all that, or even settings or props, makeup, all that. So, school students prefer his techniques. As a director, Grotowski preferred to perform works in non-traditional spaces such as buildings and rooms instead of mainstream theatre houses with the traditional stages. So, he preferred to perform in ordinary buildings or rooms and all that, not in the traditional theatre stages. Typically, the audience was placed on many sides of the action or in and amongst the action itself. So, there was no fixed space for audience could be seated anywhere. Acting in the style of poor theatre places emphasis on the physical skill of the performer and uses props for transformation into other objects, sometimes of greater significance. This point we have already seen, so I don't like to repeat that. The acting and characterization. The actor and his or her skills was at the core of all poor theatre performance. So, the most important thing was the actor and his ability to perform, his skills, not other props or stage setups. On occasions, performances used no real props but employed actors as props instead. So, as we have already seen, if they want to represent some kind of birds or animals or other objects, then the actor himself or herself could be changed into that instead of using props. Actor training was intense over a long period of time. So this was very important. He had a system of training the actors, and it was a rather very long period. Actors with egos had no place in Grotowski's theatre. That means if you want to be an actor under him, you better leave out all your egos and your pretensions. You are going to be just yourself, nothing else. Aim was for acting to be authentic, akin to Stanislavski's system. So his aim was to make your acting very authentic, very original, very similar to Stanislavski, kind of a Russian playwright. Grotowski used a variation of Stanislavski's emotion memory technique with his own actors. So he was also greatly influenced by another Russian playwright, Stanislavski. This act cannot exist if the actor is more concerned with charm, personal success, applause and salary than with creation as understood in its highest form. So this is something about the act as a performance or the actor himself. So an actor cannot do his best if he is concerned with his beauty, his appearance, his personal success or career, or appreciation from others, or his salary and all that. So his focus should be mainly upon his performance, nothing else. It cannot exist if the actor conditions it according to the size of his part, his place in the performance, the day or kind of audience. So the actor should not be conditioned by anything. You cannot say that I need such and such a role like today's superstars and all that. You can't demand that. Or the place where he is going to perform, or the day. Nothing should worry the actor. He should be concerned only with his part, his skill, nothing else. So that was the idea by Grotowski. The core of the poor theatre is shown to be the search for the deepest truth of the actor's deeds, working towards the realization of the total act. So the aim of the poor theatre was definitely to go into the innermost realm of the actor's performance, how he is able to transform himself into that act, the total act. The concept itself was most commonly understood as a formulation describing the rejection of complex means of staging evident in the rich theatre. So his whole idea was to remove all that was superfluous, extravagant in the rich theatre. That is the meaning of stripping away. So he rejected all the complications of the rich theatre, which was contrasted by his theatre. So according to him, the rich theatre was a theatre of ostentatious and luxurious staging. Ostentatious means showy, just showing off and showing all the wealth and richness, which according to Grotowski was ineffectual and also vain. It was of no use. It did not serve the purpose of theatre. It was not effective according to him. It attempts to keep up with the film and television in producing spectacular illusions and stories. So the rich theatre was only trying to replicate the movies or television productions to show extraordinary scenes or scenarios and all that. That is not the aim of theatre according to Grotowski. Once Grotowski had achieved global fame and following the publication of Towards a Poor Theatre, the concept of a poor theatre became synonym for the experiments he was carrying out, by ultimately the term ended up as a formulaic cliche. So once Grotowski became very famous after the publication of his thesis, the concept of poor theatre became very famous, and it became almost similar to his experiments in theatre that he had done in his life. But at the end, it ended up as a kind of formulaic cliche. Formulaic cliche means a formula that was repeated and repeated, and in the course of time it lost its original meaning. That's what happened to the idea of poor theatre. The concept was also subject to numerous reinterpretations and displacements. For example, the poor theatre as a theatre of the poor, that is, those subject to economic and political oppression. So, in the course of time, what happened was that the very meaning of the poor theatre has undergone a lot of changes. It became something that was not aimed by, or that was not actually intended by Grotowski. Once it came to the meaning that it was meant for the poor people who are not able to afford the rich theatre. To this day, it remains the most recognizable term associated with Grotowski's theatre. So, poor theatre remains, definitely it is related to Grotowski's theatre even up to today. So, this is a picture of Jerzy Grotowski and a few pics of his drama. You find the characters don't have makeup, they are mostly in black and white and all that. So, with that we have come to the end of the poor theatre. With that I would like to say goodbye. Have a great day ahead of you. Thank you.